Hello, and thanks for watching our Beneath the Surface Day 2 notes. So you'll see that I've asked you to get out your dry erase marker, your pencil, and your ecosystem notes. So we started these notes last class, and there's a table on the front that asked you to define biotic, abiotic, ecosystem, aquatic, and terrestrial. So on the back side of those notes, we're going to be filling in information today. So first, I want to try to remember some things from last class. So if we're looking at this picture and we want to think about 3 biotic factors, we have to remember that biotic means living or once living. So some examples of biotic factors. You should think about this first, but I'll tell you some of the examples. This alligator is biotic. The grass, these plants, these trees back here, these are all biotic, things that are currently living. We've got some lions and some hippos, and we have some elephants, flamingos, giraffes, more giraffes in the back. So we have a lot of biotic factors. And then the next thing we're thinking about, just to warm up, is we need 3 abiotic factors. So remember, abiotic factors are things that are not living and were not living. So when I look, think about them yourself. See if you can come up with 3 on your own. And then when I look, I see the water. So the water is going to be abiotic. And the sun, of course, is abiotic. These clouds are abiotic. We imagine that there are rocks and soil on these mountains. Abiotic again. And let's see, of course the air around is going to be abiotic. You can imagine that the snow on top of that mountain is abiotic. So finally, we want to think about 2 examples of abiotic and biotic factors that are interacting. So go ahead and see if you can think of 2 on your own. And I can think of several instances. I have abiotic sunlight interacting with these trees. Presumably, they are going through photosynthesis. They are autotrophs and they are creating their own energy. Likewise, this grass is also photosynthesizing, and these plants. Okay, so we have some photosynthesis happening. So the sunlight is abiotic and the plants are biotic. Another example, I have hippos over here, biotic, drinking water. The water is abiotic. I have some plants and trees that are held up in soil. So the plants and trees are the biotic factors. The soil is abiotic. And these flamingos, you can imagine, are standing on the substrate of the dirt or soil that's underneath that water. So there's some examples of biotic and abiotic factors that are interacting. All right, so just a quick reminder. Think to yourself and see if you get the right answers. My fern, is it biotic or abiotic? My fern is biotic. That mouse is biotic. The water is abiotic. The oxygen, also abiotic. And this fungi is biotic. It is living. Okay, even if that is just a dead stump that's underneath the mushrooms, that stump is also biotic. All right, so good memory, good thinking. This is just a quick reminder. If you are ever absent, you want to go to Schoology and click on the current unit. So right now we're in Beneath the Surface, but you might be looking at a different current unit if it's later in the year. And then you're going to click on the folder. Oops, sorry, class change. We're going to click on the folder for the day that you missed. So this is Beneath the Surface Day 1. It happened to be about ecosystems and biotic and abiotic factors, and it was either September 14 or September 15. No, it was September 13 or 14, I believe. In any case, depending on whether you're odd or even, your date is going to change a little bit. So you'll click into that folder, and typically if I'm handing out notes on any day, I will have a PDF form of the notes, or if there's anything that I want you to have physically as a piece of paper, I will have that PDF embedded in our Schoology. Okay, if there is work to be done, you can see there's ecosystems independent work on this day, and the exit ticket usually we do at the end, so usually you would do the other work first. But here we have a Beneath the Surface Day 1 exit ticket that you would want to complete, and I will oftentimes have the slides that we've used or for an example, today I'm making this video, so I will have a link to a YouTube video talking about the slides. Okay, so that's if you're absent. That's where you can see what work we did. If there's ever something missing, you don't see the folder for the right day, please email me and I will do my best to help you find that work. Okay, so also, speaking of things that are due, if you're ever looking in SIS and you see NTI, that stands for not turned in. And so that means I think that you didn't have it turned in when I was putting grades in SIS. It may be that you have completed something after I put the grades in SIS. And if that's the case, you just need to please email me and let me know what is the name of the assignment. It helps me if you tell me your class period because I can find your grade in SIS faster that way. And so the name of the assignment and your class period is helpful, and I will double check. If it's something that you had to complete in Schoology, I should be able to see right away whether you've completed it and what your score was. So exit tickets are typically in Schoology. If it was a paper assignment, you can send me an email and I will double check and see if I have it in my to-do list, and I will go ahead and get something graded and I will get the grade updated in SIS. And if for some reason I don't have it still, I can reach back out to you. So always just be in communication with me on that. All right. In class today, we had everyone write on the whiteboards what I see, what I think this is a picture of. And so then I passed out 30 some different pictures. Everybody got a different picture. You're not going to be able to do this if you're checking in from home, but everybody had to write down 3 things that they saw on their picture and make a guess about what they thought it was a picture of. So these were the instructions, and I gave everybody about a minute to do that. I'm going to click on through since you're not doing that. Then after everybody made some notes about what they were seeing and what they thought it was, then they worked together and all of those pictures were connected in some way. So they worked together to connect their pictures. They had to stand up and walk around and look at everybody else's pictures. So in the end, they all worked together because they were really one image that was zoomed all the way out. So you can see this is this rooster's comb, and we zoomed out and we can see now that this red part is the comb of the rooster. And then we zoomed out further and we can see that we have a rooster that's on top of a pile of hay or something with some kids looking. When we zoomed out further, we can see the kids are in a house looking out the window. And we zoomed out further and we can see the whole house. So you can see that we kept zooming out. So that was our activity to collaborate and work together during class. And then I had people look back at their boards and whatever they had written down in the first place as observations and what they thought their picture was, I asked them to think about whether their observations told the whole story. So I said, were you completely correct about what your image was? And sometimes they were, but sometimes they learned then that it was part of a bigger picture. All right. So as a table, I asked people to get together and try to describe what is the difference between an observation and an inference. So these are important terms for today's lessons. So they took 1 minute and came up with what they thought an observation is compared to an inference. After that, using the notes, and remember this is the back side of the notes on the other side of ecosystems and abiotic and biotic definitions, everybody went through and tried to come up with a definition of observation and inference based on a video. Okay, observations can be improved by using blank, so they had to listen for that information as well. So I'm going to ask you to pause this video and go to, how do I want to do this? Yeah, I'm going to have you pause this video and go to video 1 in Schoology and watch that video 1. So it's called Observe and Infer. And be careful, this video for some reason keeps trying to stop about 2/3 of the way through. You want to make sure you see the scuba diver. Okay, so make sure you see the whole video. As people listened to that video and watched the video, they came up with some definitions for observations and inferences. So a definition that we can use for observation is an observation describes something using your senses, and that's smell, taste, touch, hearing, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are our 5 senses? Smell, taste, touch, hearing, and seeing. Silly me. Okay, and so you can describe things using your senses. That's an observation. Also, if we use tools, we can get even better observations. So I might use binoculars, or I might use a telescope or a microscope or something. I might use an X-ray machine, okay, because I can't see people's bones just with my plain eyes, but if I use an X-ray machine, I can make observations about somebody's bone structure. Okay, so then we want to define inferences. An inference is a logical explanation based on background knowledge and observations together. So this "and" is really important here. We are having our background knowledge, things we already know, and the observations, and we are sort of putting them together. I don't know how to move my picture, so it's not just an opinion. Sorry for being on top of those words. Not just an opinion. It is more of an educated guess based on things that you already know and the observations that you've made. All right, so the more accurate and precise your observations are, the better your inference will be. All right, so during this lesson, I'm going to actually skip over this. We skipped around a little bit. Sorry. So we took a brain break, and you can look and see if you see which one of these guys is not wearing a mask. You can take a moment to do that. We kind of found 2 that we thought might not be wearing masks. They might have just had beards. All right, and after our brain break, we discussed observations some more. So there are really 2 types of observations that we talk about in class. We talk about qualitative observations and quantitative observations. So you should be filling in your notes as well, and if you don't have them, maybe you can just take notes on blank paper. So qualitative and quantitative, those words are very close. Qualitative, you can see it looks almost like the word quality. And quantitative, we have quant at the beginning of that word, and that is essentially talking about counting. Okay, and down at the bottom, which are more trusted by scientists? The question is it observations or inferences? So we want to be sure to get those questions answered. And we're going to have another video. Again, you're going to click on the video link. This is video 2. It starts talking about inferences and observations again, and then toward the halfway through, maybe it'll talk about qualitative and quantitative. Okay, so we're not really going to watch it here, because you're going to watch it on your own link. I think that'll be better quality. All right, so after you watch that video, hopefully you've paused this one so you could watch that video, you're going to look and make a definition for qualitative observations. So qualitative, again, it's like the word qualities. And so it's an observation that describes the qualities of something using your senses. So I could say it looks green, or it feels soft, or it is tall. So using my senses, I just can make some observations. On the other hand, a quantitative observation is more precise. It's an observation that describes an object using numbers, or it's a measurement using tools. And so there will be numbers involved. It's 2 feet tall, or it has 6 legs, or it's 72% humidity or something like that. You'll have numbers when you're talking about quantitative observations. And maybe people used a meter stick or a ruler or a graduated cylinder or something, but they've measured something. It can be as simple as this object has 2 sides, a top and a bottom. But as long as you're using numbers, for the most part, it's going to be quantitative. All right, so then we actually backed back up to some of my skipped slides. So let me pause and get back there. Actually, I probably don't need to pause. I gave everybody a mystery item. So it was something that they probably did not really know the function of. And I asked everybody to write down some quantitative descriptions of their item and also some qualitative descriptions of their item. And so you could do this even with something that you know, but it'll be a little bit harder. I asked for people to think about quantitative and qualitative descriptions and make sure that they knew which ones are quantitative. If they're numbers and measurement, it's quantitative. And if it's just more broad descriptions with your senses, it's going to be qualitative. And then we talked some more about what we can do once we have made some observations. So once we have some observations and we have background knowledge that we already had, we can make inferences about what some of those items actually were. Now, the thing is scientists trust observations more because observations are pretty close, pretty much the same for everybody. But inferences might be different depending on your background. So if you watched the video that had the spider with only 6 legs, you could see only 6 legs. And after a while, you could see there were 4 legs on one side and 2 on the other. So your inference was that it was a spider that had lost 2 legs. But if you're an insect specialist, you're an entomologist, you might say, I know that any little bug-looking creature that has 6 legs is an insect, not an arachnid. And so your inference might be wrong when you see 6 legs. You might actually make the wrong conclusion. So scientists like to use observations as much as they can. They trust those more than inferences, just because everybody has slightly different background knowledge. All right. So this is when everybody got the mystery items and had to try to make a guess about what their mystery item was for. And they used a recording sheet to write down 2 qualitative observations for their object, 2 quantitative observations for their object, and then try to make an inference about what they thought the object was for. All right, you can take a moment and make both qualitative and quantitative observations of this creature. And so quantitative, I might say it has 2 antennae, and I might say it has 2 claws. Okay, I might say it looks like it has 3 pairs of legs or 6 legs. Okay, so that's counting, those are quantitative. I might say it's fluffy or hairy, that's qualitative. If I say it's cream colored or light yellow, that again is qualitative. So I can make observations, and I can also make an inference. Because I see 6 legs, I might infer that this is an insect. All right. So why am I not clicking there? Okay, so after you've seen both videos and you've kind of gone through this slide deck, I want you to please go into this day's folder in Schoology and complete the exit ticket. You can use your notes for this exit ticket, and of course it'll be a grade because my exit tickets pretty much always go into SIS. Again, if there's ever anything that you can't find, if I forget to put the links for those videos in Schoology, please let me know, and you can send me an email to let me know, and I will do my best to fix it. But thanks so much for watching.